Finance Minister Chrystia Freeland is with me live. Minister, good to have you here.
Good to be with you, Vassy. And I have to say, it's not just me.
A budget is hundreds and hundreds,
Understood.
even thousands of people working hard on it. And so thank you very much to the hardworking people of finance and to everyone in Canada who we talked to who gave us some great ideas. I hope you like what you're hearing and reading today.
Okay, so let's get into those ideas.
Okay.
And specifically, I wanted to start off on the scope of the response to the IRA as outlined in the budget. Would it have been anywhere near what it is if the IRA had not been introduced in the US?
No, I don't think we would have done as much had the IRA not been introduced. I mean, I think the reality is Canada, and in particular our government, has been at this for a long time. You know, we campaigned in the 2015 election on the economy and the environment going together, and we have been steadily investing ever since we formed government, starting with the price on pollution, which is such a powerful economic incentive for people to build the clean economy. So we have been doing a lot of stuff for many years. But it's also true that the US decision, the US plan, the IRA, is a game changer. They have put a ton of money on the table. And it was really important for us, having been ahead in this race, not to fall behind. And really important for us, frankly, you know, what we're really going to need here is to attract global capital and to attract Canadian capital. And we couldn't allow ourselves to be in a situation where Canadian capital and international capital was going south.
If the US hadn't decided to subsidize its way to attract that capital, though, would you have taken the same approach that you are in this budget?
No, as I said, Vassy,
I know the scale wouldn't be the same, but like, would you? Is this your preferred way to do it? Incentivize it through subsidies?
Oh, I see what you mean in terms of scale. You know, that's hard to say, but I will say that I really like the Made in Canada plan we have now. I like the combination of things we have. I like, you know, if people are nerdy and want to actually read the budget, it's pages, I think, 74 and 75. We've laid out our whole plan, and it's like a pyramid. At the bottom is our price on pollution and regulatory framework. Then next we have our tax incentives. Then on top of that, we have concessionary capital, cheaper capital available for these projects through the Infrastructure Bank, through the Canada Growth Fund. And then at the very tip of the pyramid is kind of bespoke approaches for specific projects through the SIF and so forth. I think when you take all of that together, we have a great plan that is going to be easy for business to understand, that will attract investment, and crucially, what we've done for the first time in Canadian economic history is built-in labor requirements. So for companies to get the highest level of government support, they're going to have to pay their workers a union wage. That's a big deal.
Which echoes what Joe Biden did in the IRA. I just listened to Pierre Poilievre, the leader of the Conservative Party.
My sympathies.
Call your government an NDP government in his framing of this budget. How do you square the fact that you did say in the lead up to this you would exercise fiscal restraint, and you've now abandoned charting any path to a balanced budget?
So first of all, I would say this is a very fiscally responsible budget. You can see that with the deficit steadily falling. It goes from 1.5% in 22-23 to 1.4% in 23-24. It goes down to 0.4% at the end of the fiscal framework, and it's an average of 1%. Now, for a regular Canadian, they might be like, what does that mean? Is 1% good or is it bad? So let me give you a way of measuring it, which is look at the rest of the world. And if you look at the deficits, G7 countries, the 6 other biggest countries in the world are running this year. Canada's is the lowest. And let me give you another measure. So inside the G7, there are only 3 countries with the best credit rating, AAA. Us, the US, and Germany. We're the lowest of those 3. But then there's a broader group of small countries who have a AAA credit rating. We have a lower deficit than some of those too. We're going to have a lower deficit this year than Australia. We're going to have a lower deficit this year than the Netherlands. I think that speaks to fiscal responsibility. And I also want to say, you know, we have struck a balance in this budget between sticking to a fiscally responsible path, because that is really important, but at the same time, finding ways to make the necessary investments in Canada and Canadians. Because failing to make those investments, that is irresponsible as well.
And I do understand the point around making those investments and the necessity of it. But the size of the deficit has increased by $10 billion. I get that you say, and your government said it during inflation too, hey, it's worse in other parts of the world. But that can come as cold comfort to people who ultimately, as taxpayers, will have to pay down the debt of this country, right? And ultimately, governments will have to make choices and be able to spend less on programs that Canadians value because they will have to service the debt. On the question,
if I could say, Vassy, I actually don't agree with that economic understanding of what we're doing. This budget is absolutely fiscally responsible, and Canada is on a track where our deficits and our debt continues to decline. And it is actually the investments in the economic capacity of Canada that's going to be what pays
but
down the
you
debt.
no longer are even saying, and you did for the first time in the last fall economic statement, that the budget at some point will be balanced. It's not even in your projections anymore.
Well, Vassy, actually, I didn't say that.
I'm saying it.
No, but we very intentionally didn't say in the fall, yay, we're going to have a surplus, hooray, because we knew that fiscal track was the product of a very specific set of economic projections that we had in November, projections that we drew from private sector economists. And we could already see in November that the economy was slowing down more than those projections suggested. And so that's why in November, in the budget, we included a downside scenario. We said, you know what? Nothing to do with our spending, right? Like so much of the fiscal track is not dependent on actual spending decisions. It's dependent on economic performance. So in November, we had a fiscal track that was a downside scenario. What we are presenting today actually is a better performance than that downside scenario. So why am I emphasizing this kind of technical point? Because I want Canadians to have the confidence that in November, we could see the direction the economy was going. We stress tested where we were against the possibility that the economy would slow down more. And we're actually doing better than that worst case scenario.
And I get that. I'm guessing that your staff is like out of the corner of my eye. I can see them trying to pull you away. My last question to you is
it's a busy day.
Look, I take your point about the overall performance of the economy and the path that you're charting. But I think to present to Canadians that you are the most fiscally responsible you can be is not necessarily completely accurate. And I'm thinking of a few moves that you're making in this budget. For example, reviewing spending with an eye to decreasing it, reviewing public sector spending, that is, and then as well trying to clamp down on outsourcing. All things that have increased under your watch. The size of the public service since 2017 has grown by 28%. The size of the amount of money spent on outsourcing since 2015 has gone from just over $8 billion to over $21 billion. If you had an eye for fiscal responsibility through your entire time of government, would you not be having to make those moves now?
Well, actually, Vassy, I would sort of turn your question around, and I would say proof of our commitment to finding this balance, this sweet spot between making the investments Canadians need and fiscal responsibility is this plan to refocus spending. We are going to take $15 billion out of the money that the government spends actually operating and take that money and spend it on Canadians.
But money that has substantially increased through your time in government.
And that's precisely why it's going to be possible to pull that spending back. Like that to me,
isn't that a bit ironic to people listening? I mean, like,
no, I think
you said in 2015 this outsourcing will go down. Instead, it went up astronomically.
I think people listening should really take comfort from it. And I mean, the story of what has happened is during COVID, we undertook truly extraordinary government action, and that was the right thing. Because we were
this is not all due to COVID, to be fair.
Well, no,
that increase in spending and the size of the public sector and the amount of outsourcing has been increasing since you came into office 6 years before COVID or 5 years before.
We're not going all the way back to 2015. Really what is happening here is a process that has been happening across Canada where we had to do extraordinary things to get through COVID. That was the right thing to do. And now, it's like an elastic. The elastic is snapping back to normal times. And I'll be honest with you, Vassy, one of the reasons that we're doing that and looking at refocusing government spending is precisely the reason you cited. I believe in fiscal responsibility, and I also know that we have to find the money to invest in Canadians. And $15 billion that we're going to find through this refocusing of government spending, that's a lot of money. That's going to pay for a lot of dental care. It's going to pay for a lot of climate action.
Okay, I have to leave it there before your staff chases me off set. Minister, thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it.
Really good to talk to you. Thanks.
Finance Minister and Deputy Prime Minister Chrystia Freeland.